Are you ready, Spaghetti?
Let's go.
How you feeling?
Good.
You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm good.
How you feel about what we just watched?
Um, wow.
Now it's garbage.
Just another movie night.
All right. Hey, everybody. We're just another movie night. And I'm Scotty. And that is Joey. Today, we're here to talk about a movie that needs an introduction. Because, well, depending on where you were or how you saw this movie, you probably saw it under a different title than anybody else. So here's the titles for this movie. Contagion Point 7, The Crawlers, and Troll 3.
Troll 3?
Yes. A lot of people got to see this movie under the title Troll
You
3.
kidding me?
Yep.
Are you? There's no troll or goblins in this.
And there was no trolls in part 2.
Oh my god.
So, hey, you want to know why?
yeah, I would.
Do you want to know how? Because this movie was directed by one of two possible people.
Oh
it's
my
very,
God.
very mixy on what exactly happened during the filming of this movie. So this was either directed by Fabrizio.
Okay.
Who
you have
did-
to say it like an Italian person. Fabrizio Lorente.
Oh well, luckily you're here for that.
Well, I'm Italian, but I'm not from the homeland.
He was the director of Witchery, or it was directed by how do you say this one?
Joe D'Amato.
D'Amato?
Joe
D'Amato?
D'Amato.
Joe D'Amato, who directed 199 films, including 170 plus pornos,
Oh.
including movies called Porno Holocaust,
Oh.
Erotic Nights of the Living Dead, and a movie that we hold dear to our hearts in bad movie fandom, Killing Birds.
Oh my god. Well, I do believe I need to see all those pornos.
Oh, yeah. I skipped a lot of great names, by the way. There's one in there, something like Jesus Christ is my handgun or my Colt 45 or
God,
something like that.
stop.
It's amazing. What a great title.
Well, can we just say, first of all, so this is absolutely talking trash.
Yeah, well, getting into that real quick.
I mean, first of all, and also, can I correct you on something?
Please.
Please. Because you said anyone who's seen this movie might know it by 3 names. Okay, first of all, no one's seen this movie. Okay?
There's a lot of
no
people
one
online.
has seen this movie.
When you go to the comments section, the reviews in IMDb, some of the first ones you'll see is there are no trolls in this movie called Troll 3.
Oh my god. First of all, I didn't even know it was called Troll 3, and that's
Well,
absurd.
we
but-
watched this movie under the title Contagion Point 7.
Yes.
And there's 2 spellings on the posters,
Okay,
too.
this is our second viewing of this movie.
Well, I wanted to get into that. Yeah,
But,
we
this-
saw it under Contagion Point 7, but the movie actually said Crawlers.
Yes, and there is only 2.8 out of 10 on this on IMDb, and only 1,487 people reviewed it.
Yeah, because I don't think these people could find how to search for this name, because I don't think anybody knows the name of
I
this
mean,
movie.
just go to the dollar store and you'll find a box set.
No, definitely not.
How did we find it?
I bought this sucker. This
much-
isn't a 4-pack of movies.
How much did we pay for this?
I'm sure I got it for free. I remember Shout, I won some kind of contest on Shout Factory, and they gave me a gift card, and I used that sucker as much as I could to get every crappy thing under cheap. And this is one of the things I think I got in there. And I'm really happy that I did, because,
We actually got a lot of excitement out of this box set.
well, well, I wouldn't go that far, but
I mean, okay, excitement's not the word. I mean, entertainment is what I meant. Entertainment.
I think we said this for a second, so let's go back a little bit and just say, welcome to Talking Trash.
Talking trash.
Thank you. Talking trash indeed.
Talking trash.
Yeah, we're doing Talking Trash today on this movie, and I'm so happy to do it. And this is the best part about this. We have seen this, but it's one of those movies that after we watched this while very intoxicated with a bunch of people, and I laughed through the whole movie.
It's the
And
only way to watch this movie.
after the movie I held on to it and I said, one day we're going to revisit this because I know we're not going to remember any of it because we were drunk. Mm-hmm. And we have to watch this and do this for our podcast. So here we are doing it finally.
Well,
It's
I
been a
think-
very long time and you didn't remember a damn thing about it.
I did remember some scenes. I
Did
did.
you? Really?
Yes, I did. I actually did remember some scenes. But I will say that I actually watching this sober this time. I underappreciated
Really?
the acting.
Oh, that's the highlight of this
I
movie.
mean, because when I was drinking, I was just laughing my head off. But here, I feel like, oh boy, this is some.
Well, yeah, that's a good thing to bring up because a fast summary of this movie could sound something like this. It could be about a porn. It could be about a prostitute who just wants people to shut up and have sex with her.
Sometimes I don't understand you guys. Here you are talking nonsense on my bed, worrying about your job instead of relaxing and enjoying yourself. Nonsense to me.
It could be about a guy who works at a research lab who just can't stop getting drunk and going on the run.
I'm not drunk, Creed.
Don't you think you had enough?
Man may drink too much. There are circumstances in which he cannot get enough to drink.
I mean, he's not on the run.
It also could be about a overdubbing company who just decided to give it to everybody who works at their job who doesn't do the overdubbing.
Okay, Doctor. We'll just evacuate the entire country before you can say Jack Robinson.
It also could be about the best scream acting you've ever seen in your life.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Or it could be a movie about a whip salesman who just is whipping at the microphone
Wow,
throughout the
because
entire
the
movie.
sound effects of what's going on in the movie, the sound effects literally sound like Indy's whip.
This movie has so much to break down and talk about. This movie makes me giddy. I know the reviews all over the IMDb are all basically like, this is a piece of crap. But let me tell you something. This has almost every single thing that I love about Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space in it. Almost. It has transitioning between night and day constantly. It has terrible acting. Acting with guns. This movie has insane stuff. And it was made how many years after? Crazy.
I mean,
Mind blowing.
I'm still like mind boggled at the fact that this movie is called Troll 3.
This was packaged
What?
under Troll 3 because the director was a producer of Troll 2.
Oh God.
Yep.
Well,
And so, and I
there's no
talked about
Troll-
this on another episode I think we did on another movie where I'm always bringing up the fact that I'm shocked when movies aren't a part of a series. I think it was under Silent Night, Deadly Night. We did like 4 and 5, and we were talking about how I cannot believe they ever had that subtitle, and it made me think that it was like this, where a troll and a zombie are used heavily. Also, demons and Night of the Living Dead, they're all like used over and over. They just kept trying to package every movie that sucked under those movies, trying to get someone to watch them. And Troll is one of those. All the Troll movies, I think another movie used Troll 3, so it confuses a lot of people. I think the same director did another movie and stuck Troll 3 on that movie as well. It's called Mighty Quest or something like that. We have to check that out one day too. But yeah.
The Mighty Sword. Wait, Quest for the
that's it.
Mighty Sword.
Yes, that's it. It is also known as Troll 3. So
Jesus Christ.
this is like a debatable film. Like right off the bat, this is a hard one because no one knows what they watched because everybody saw it under a different title.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, but I mean, one thing we can all agree on, it doesn't matter what the title is of this movie, the acting is atrocious.
Yeah. So since it's talking trash, I think we should just get on board with trying to talk this movie out because there's a lot, and I think we'll slowly get to that. right? We'll get to all those things we want to talk about
Yes,
during it.
yes. Okay, let's go.
So this movie kind of starts out with one of your cardinal sins, which is driving montages. So not only do we get one driving montage, we get two back to back in this thing where it jumps back and forth. The first one is of a truck with traveling with, I think, nuclear waste of some sort, right? It's like a toxic waste truck,
Yeah, like
and
toxic
like
waste
transporting-
drums. Yeah.
and you don't see any driver. You don't know what's happening. It's just showing
there.
this, and it's got some title cards going on. At the same time, we jump to, and it has really stale music. This movie should also be pointed out that it has the worst soundtrack. It's just elevator music. And fun fact, this is recycled music from this director's other movies.
Yeah. No, he didn't have much of a budget.
None. Well,
I mean,
we'll get to it. But yeah, not only do we have that, we have this kind of crazy, just this stale music playing during this truck driving the toxic waste, but we also jump to a bus transporting, like, passengers to...
yeah, it's like a Greyhound bus.
Yeah, Greyhound.
Yeah.
And they're playing a whole nother, it's like an 80s elevator music.
Yeah.
And there's people on board that. So we're cutting back and forth between these two travelings and these two crazy soundtracks with the credits going over them. And the first people we meet is a woman who's coming out of the bathroom on the Greyhound bus. And she sits in her seat, and she's sitting in back of another woman who she decides to strike up a conversation with. Turns out that this girl is going to go see her boyfriend. And
In
she's
Seattle,
traveling. Yeah,
right?
in Seattle.
Yeah, so she's traveling through Anchorage. We're supposed to believe that this bus is going through Alaska.
This is mind blowing. So right off the
Yes.
bat, that they're in Alaska. They're so this movie is taking place in Anchorage.
Yeah. Yep. The front of the bus says Anchorage.
Does it ever really get? Because I know for a fact this movie was actually filmed in Utah.
That makes sense.
Yes, and so was Troll 2. And also by a crew of directors and producers who can't speak any English. And that definitely transfers here. So, yeah, does Anchorage get this deserty looking? Like this?
I mean, it's very backwoods looking, this movie. Everything is like podunk. There's like a old cheap like gas station. There's just the kind of old looking cheap buildings. Like,
But this looks like Nevada.
it
doesn't
kind of,
look-
I mean, I don't see desert. They do show you in the helicopter scenes that they are in like mountainous area.
That's what I'm saying.
With greenery.
Like in
So,
Anchorage?
yeah.
I can't. I have to look into this more.
Well, it
because-
doesn't snow there around the year,
but
so
geez, this looks. When they said Alaska, I'm like, what in the hell is happening? But
yeah.
yeah,
I mean-
she's traveling. This girl is traveling to see her boyfriend in Seattle, and she strikes up the conversation with the girl in front of her because she's nosy, and she wants
Yeah,
to
she's
know.
a little invasive.
She basically just wants to share everything that's happened to her, and she's so excited to go see her boyfriend. And the girl in front of her says, "I actually live here. I'm just coming home. I was in school." And she's like, "You live here? You don't look like a local." Basically, kind of insulting. And she says, "I haven't been home in a long time." And she's like, "Well, do you have a boyfriend?" She says, "No." Well,
She kind of does.
yeah. She goes, "Well, I guess you do."
Yeah.
And it's that's weird. So they stop at a gas station in the middle of nowhere because the driver obviously has to pee because we don't see any of that. He just runs out and goes to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, so then the girl gets out, the nosy body. She gets out, and she's really pretty, this girl. She's like, she has that like Tiffany Amber Thiessen look, like from Saved by the Bell from the 80s.
Okay.
So she kind of like, she's cute.
Yeah.
So she gets off the bus and she runs in because she's thirsty to the gas station. So she wants to get a drink. But the bus driver comes running back to the bus, closes the door, and freaking leaves her.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say real fast to your point. Everybody in this movie kind of looks like a knockoff of somebody else.
yeah, they do. But the craziest part about this scene, and we actually said it to each other, is like, okay, so this girl gets left behind.
Yeah, she just leaves.
He-
No one even brings up that she just got out.
Yeah, how come the girl that she was talking to doesn't say, you just left her. She just got off the bus. Like, it was just absurd. Like, it was just weird.
It
So
happens quick.
this girl, her name is, what is her name? The main girl.
The one that's still on the bus?
Yeah. Oh god, I forgot her name already, but
Yeah, I don't remember. Either.
she's like
I'm gonna be bad with names.
the worst character. Like, she's just so dry. Her name is Josie. She is like the driest character in the
I'm
movie.
trying to think of who she reminded me of.
She reminds me of a lot of people, actually.
It's like the girl from Flashdance.
Jennifer Beals.
Yeah, a
She
little
kind
bit
of
of like
looks
a Jennifer Beals.
Yeah, she's like the poor man's version of Jennifer Beals.
Oh, jeez.
I know that's mean, but she
so
is.
mean.
She's the poor man's version of Jennifer Beals.
Yeah, she doesn't tell the bus driver, and she doesn't give a crap. But that girl's stuck at the bus stop, and she's stuck with an old man and his dog.
No, it's not even a bus stop. It's a freaking
gas station.
And so there's an old man, which is a stereotype. Obviously, he's like,
He's a sweet old man with a
sweet
dog.
old man with a dog.
And it's a horror movie, so you know what's going to happen.
Yeah, of course. So she's stuck there, and she wants to, she needs to get back to Seattle, but she's stranded. So you can imagine what
Well,
will
she
happen.
talks to the guy, and she's like, "How far is it?" And he's like, "Well, it's a couple hours up the road by foot." And she's like, "Well, what am I gonna do?" And he says, "Look, give it a little bit. Someone is gonna probably drive by. Maybe they can give you a lift down the block."
Yeah.
Right? And she starts talking to him and his dog, and she starts getting friendly with them. He's a nice old man, and he says to her, she says, "What's your dog's name?"
Well, his name is Chester, but I call him Wolfie because he always chasing girls.
But I call him
I
Wolfie?
don't know, but he
Or
doesn't look
something like
anything like that.
And then he goes, because he's always going after the ladies.
Hey, Janelle, what's wrong with Wolfie? I can hear him barking. Is he okay?
Wolfie's fine, honey. Wolfie's just fine. What are you?
Your foster parents are dead.
He never uses that nickname once throughout the whole film.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't at all. It doesn't even matter what the stupid dog's name is.
No, I know. I'm just saying. It just made me laugh. He's like, he's always going after the ladies. And
I'm trying to find it. But
there's a
I
funny
don't know.
tombstone. It's something with a C or a G or something. But anyways, so this, at the same time that's happening, we see that the bus has finally got to its stop, and not Jennifer Beals, Jennifer Schmills gets out and decides to walk up the road. She's got a long walk with her luggage because no one's at the bus stop for her, and she goes walking. And we cut back to the girl at the gas station, and a car finally shows up for her, and she goes up to the car, and he's like, "Oh, I knew someone was going to be here." She goes up and she says, "Hey, can you give me a lift to blah blah blah?" And he's like, he looks her up and down, and he's like,
"Sure, I'll give you a ride to Lambertsville. Hop in."
Okay, now this is like the most cliche,
absolutely,
like hitchhiking scene of all time.
You like music?
Like, honestly, she's a beautiful girl. So if she happens to hitch a ride with the creepiest,
of course,
skeeviest, like, fat, disgusting, balding, podunk, hillbilly trash heap of all time.
Yeah.
So obviously he's undressing her with his eyes and tries to naturally he tries to freaking touch her and stuff.
He tries to rape her.
He tries to rape her.
He gets in the car. They go down the road. They don't make it very far. And he's like trying to talk about the radio. He's like, "Are you hot? It's a hot day. I bet you're real hot."
I know, it's just so gross.
And then she's like, And then he starts groping her, and she freaks out. And he pulls over, and he jumps on top of her, and starts saying, "I just want to stick it in.
I just want to stick it to you."
Get off me, Virgo!
Stick it to you.
I want to stick it."
I want to stick it to you.
Because the movie's bad, and they don't understand how double takes work or doing 2 takes and using the better one. He does it the same line twice. He says, "I'm going to stick it to you."
Get off me, you pig!
I'm going to stick it to you.
And then they get another shot, and he goes, "I'm going to stick it to you again."
I'm going to stick it to you.
God.
And this movie does that a lot.
Yes.
There's double takes, mess ups left in. I think that they only did 1 take, and they didn't understand that there's multiple takes in one. And
yeah,
they didn't.
They just left it in. They literally went to like the Ed Wood School of Editing.
It's
just so
1 take and
bad.
let's move.
I know. The big guy had some trouble getting through the door.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she
But,
gets
like-
out of that car and she runs off right from that guy.
Well, she fights him off, and then
She kicks him.
Oh, jeez! Oh!
shouldn't have done that. Bitch, you shouldn't have done that.
If she runs off into the woods, naturally, you know, they always run into the woods because there's no place else to go.
He says some stuff. I want to try to remember this because we wished at this point that we had closed caption, but this movie didn't. The DVD does not have closed caption, so we were very upset. But he like runs it. He's like, "You shouldn't have done that, girl," and he runs after her. And now the best part about that is they don't go very far into the woods.
Yeah, not at
and
all.
And she's clearly in front of him. But she stops and hides behind a tree right in front of him, and he has no idea where she went.
No idea where she went.
She's like a ninja. She just disappears in front of him. He says something along the lines of, he says, I'll sick you anyways, you damn Trump.
Yeah.
How the hell were you Trumps anyway?
I think he meant to say
He's
tramp,
trying to say tramp,
but
but we rewound it. He says Trump. He's like, damn Trumps. So he leaves. He just takes off. He's like, screw you, you damn Trump.
How the hell were you Trumps anyway?
So he gets in the car and leaves. And this is where she's like, oh, crap, where am I?
Yeah, so she gets lost.
And, of course, this is where we get a funny point of view shot of a thing that has no eyeballs. So we get a crawling point of view shot through the grass.
It's like a snake slithering through the grass.
And here's the funniest part. Everything that happens here, this girl gets attacked by something we can't see. And this is a cross between sound effects of whips and a sound effect of the Attack of the Killer Tomato sound effect, which is like this. And what's really odd, this whole sequence is filmed like the music video Beastie Boys. Which one is it?
Oh, is it Sabotage?
No, the one when they're in the woods and they're jumping at the camera, and so it's like these fisheye lens shots.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like, check your head.
Okay. Check your head. Yeah,
it's just like that shot, and it shows the top of the trees in the sky, and it spins it. It's baffling, right? And we see that the other girl who is on the bus is now walking with her luggage, and she gets to a spot, and then she goes down like steps and gets to a house, and she goes in the front door, and she stands in front of her mother.
This is not Jennifer Beals. So
Meals.
She meant it for meals.
She stands in front of her mother. Her mother goes, Josie. Is that her name?
Yeah, Josie.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you doing here? You weren't supposed to come in for 40 minutes.
She says, well, thanks for coming to get me at the bus stop, Mom. And she says, oh, you honey buns, you were supposed to come at 45 minutes. And, I love you and all that. And she says...
I don't know if she said all that.
Oh, it was Josie.
So we find out she has a little brother.
I was right, Josie. Because I should know this because her brother also comes down and screams it too.
Josie. Hi, Mom. Thanks for meeting me at the bus stop.
Oh, honey, you're early. The bus wasn't due for 40 minutes. Davy and me were going to meet you.
Okay. No, I missed you.
Josie!
Josie!
Now, this movie's questionable about age.
Yeah, okay, so Josie is literally, I'm going to say she's not more than 17 years old. She looks it.
No, she was at college.
Yeah, but she looks 17 years old. She looks like she's 17 years old. Yes.
She looks like a 30-year-old.
You think Josie looks like...
Absolutely.
No, the boyfriend looks like a 30-year-old.
They both do.
But yeah, I don't think
Which is where it becomes baffling because her mother only looks about 10 years older, 15 years older.
I don't know. She always has curlers in her hair.
She always has curlers in her hair.
Could you tell?
And her son, her brother, Josie's brother, looks like he's 10 to 12?
I would say maybe he's like 10. Yeah.
And I'm like, what the... And where's the father? We never even discuss it.
No, there's no talk about the father.
There's no talk about the father.
This
is a running thing.
Honestly, if there was a father in the picture, he would have gotten killed anyway.
True. Yeah, that's true. Or he would have been frequenting the Pauline.
Paula.
Paula's.
Yeah, so Paula is the
bed shack.
the neighborhood.
Well, we'll get to her.
You can't just say Paula and not explain who she is. Paula is very important to the plot.
It's called foreshadowing.
No, Paula's not really important at all to the plot.
Paula.
Who's Paula?
I know who Paula is. She's the hooker.
Davy.
it's a major plot for some strange
your
reason.
friendly neighborhood whore.
Yeah. As the brother says at one point, she's a hooker.
She's the hooker.
She's a prostitute. The little kid, by the way. So yeah, Josie is being welcomed in the best way that you've ever heard. Everybody, Josie, oh my God. And they're all hugging. She brings out a box to her brother that just automatically turns into a Audrey.
It's an
from,
Audrey 2. Like
Audrey 2.
I think I had one of those as a kid. It was like
Really? It's
yeah,
so
but
cool.
mine was like you put a quarter in it and then the mouth opens or
That's what
something
happened
like that.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked it.
Did you notice
It's
that
really
it was
cute.
a box and then it wasn't a box anymore?
Yeah, well,
was just
there's
a
a lot of film flubs in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
This whole movie in itself is one big film flub.
True,
so
true.
You can't even point out film flubs at this point.
True.
You just can't.
I love it.
So
yeah.
we have to meet the
Well-
guy that the protagonist in the movie.
We'll get to that because we also
what is this?
show
Nuclear power plant glass.
a guy.
Blah, 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 blah. That's what I said.
Okay.
Did you hear? I couldn't even get my words out. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you also get a shot randomly of a guy playing cards with two older men, and he's like, he's the older guy who looks just like Tommy Chong but with a shaved head. He's like a redneck version of him. He's like, now son, you gotta calm down. I don't think he says son here. He just goes, you gotta calm down. And he's like, look, she's coming home today. I've been waiting for a very long time. And he's like, yeah, but you gotta calm down. And the other guy playing cards with them is joking around. And that's it. We cut back to now we cut to another scene.
Thanks
like
for
scene with
introducing
Josie with her
this-
family. It just keeps jumping.
It just jumps. So we don't even know who this kid is. Apparently, we find out because it's his girlfriend that he used to go out with before she moved away.
Yeah.
So his name is, what is his name? Bubba?
Well, they're not together yet, so it doesn't matter. But then we also cut to a power plant. And the power plant, now we follow a character named, I believe, Taylor.
Dr. Taylor.
Dr. Taylor, and he is... Just let's try to explain this guy here.
The best actor in the movie?
Ooh.
That's not saying much.
He looks like a disheveled mess. His hair is all frizzed up.
Well, he's strung out.
He's strung out, and he walks up to who I would only describe as Lloyd Kaufman. Yeah, this guy looks like Lloyd Kaufman, hon. If you told me this was Lloyd Kaufman young, I believe
like Lloyd
it.
Kaufman? At
Yes.
first, I thought he was the Fonz from the side view, and I was like, no, there's no way the Fonz will be in this movie.
What?
Henry Winkler.
And not even close. Really, he looks like Lloyd Kaufman. He's even the same size as
I mean,
Lloyd Kaufman.
I guess you're right. He's like little and short, like Lloyd Kaufman. I would go with Lloyd Kaufman if I had to compare him to somebody.
I'm trying to remember this character's name
Oh
now.
my god.
Well, I don't know because he also is followed by another gentleman named Dr. what I thought was Prissy Pants. Who the hell is it? Dr. Prissy and this other guy? So he goes up to Lloyd Kaufman and he explains to him, he starts telling him. Now let me tell you, this actor who is, I'm calling Lloyd Kaufman is, and also Dr. Prissy are the worst actors I mean, this movie, and there's also a cop later on. They're some of the worst actors imaginable.
It seems like the guys in this movie cannot deliver a line to save their life.
When the sheriff called me saying somebody had found that body near to the side, I thought it was safer to have it brought in here, and I was right.
What do you mean?
The corpse is highly contaminated.
You mean she died because of radioactivity?
No, Dr. Kruger. But what concerns me, she must have died for some other reason. But her body is soaked with radioactivity, as if she swam in a pool of uranium.
You know we're going to have to keep this quiet.
I know. You can count on me, Kruger, and you know it. Well, I will use the best resources of the lab to find out what happened to her.
And keep me informed, only me. Whatever the autopsy shows, don't tell anyone.
Yes, I will, as soon as I know anything.
The only one is Dr. Taylor. He's our
boyfriend.
protagonist.
He's not that bad.
The boyfriend's not that bad, but I mean, everyone else in this movie, seriously, They went to Neil Breen's School of Acting.
Oh, and by the way,
It's bad.
if I can point this out, Dr. Taylor also kind of looks like Neil Breen.
You know, he kind of does.
He does.
But he has that, like, you know, late 80s look.
Yes,
Like the floofy hair.
he's a little more weight on him. Neil Breen is
Yeah.
very scrawny in weird ways.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dr. Taylor is very concerned. He is getting all kinds of reports about radiation But not
radiation,
coming
radioactive something happening.
from the plant,
Yeah.
but coming from the forest.
Excuse me. Dr. Kruger, I need to speak to you in private, please.
Why, certainly.
I've taken the liberty of conducting some research on the possible areas of radioactivity outside the perimeter of this plant.
Dr. Taylor, I don't want there to be any confusion about the duties for which you were hired to work here at the plant.
Please let me finish, Dr. Kruger. These results were alarming. They were shocking. I found very high levels of radioactivity. The strange thing is it didn't seem to have any connection at all with the power plant. I don't understand.
Very good, Dr. Taylor. You did well by coming to me with this. We wouldn't want to take any risks.
No, absolutely.
Dr. Pritzi, I'd like you to personally look into this matter. Dr. Taylor will give you all the information he's collected, and I want you to get to the bottom of this problem immediately. I want answers by the end of the week.
I suggest that
Thank
we...
you, Dr. Taylor. You may go now. From now on, Dr. Pritzi will be responsible for this matter.
And he has no clue what he's talking about. He keeps talking about that during this movie. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's guessing. He tells this Lloyd Kaufman guy, Dr. Prissy Pants, who is following Lloyd Kaufman, like, really religiously. And Lloyd Kaufman, this guy, he's not Lloyd Kaufman, but whatever. I'm going to call him that from now on. He keeps talking to him like this. He's like, what are you talking about? This is not something we need to know. We have to do what is necessary.
We have to play a clip.
Come with me into my office. And he brings this guy into the office and he basically blackmails this guy to shut the hell up.
One more thing, Dr. Taylor. I would like to remind you that it is absolutely forbidden to even possess any alcoholic beverages on the premises of the plant.
I
believe this is yours, Dr. Taylor. At least it was found in your office.
Really,
This time I will look the other way. In the name of friendship. But I hope you realize this could cost you your position if somehow this slips out. You may go now. Thanks.
And like now he's debating, like, I don't want to lose my job. So he like walks out. So that leaves Lloyd Kaufman and Prissy Pants to talk. And these two guys have a discussion. And if I thought the Lloyd Kaufman looking guy was the worst, this Prissy Pants guy is overdubbed. Because obviously he cannot deliver a line of dialogue. But what's worse is the overdubbing is even worse.
Yes, but you won't believe it. Please look. A most unusual genetic mutation. An appropriate word would be monstrous.
What are you talking about?
He's like, these reports are on paper, and they say things that are important.
Yeah.
And
Words are
I
on this
think
paper.
My perspectives, and I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like telling him, he's like, we got to keep this quiet. That's pretty much what these two characters do, but this happens a lot with these guys, and every scene with them is more hilarious than the next. Like, they are mind-blowingly bad.
Every
and
time
their dialogue is atrocious.
Every time this main guy that works, the boss at the nuclear power plant, every time he's on screen, not Lloyd Kaufman, I swear to God, I just can't help but laugh. Because every time he utters a syllable, it is so bad.
His last scene in the movie is, it should be done as a monologue from actors trying to act. Like, it should be shown. It is amazing. I don't know why more people don't talk about this scene.
They should be showing that actor and his scenes in this movie in like film schools.
It's great.
Because it's just, I've never seen anything like it.
Yes.
He's really, he cannot deliver a line. It's bad.
Well, we also now cut to, his name is Matt. He goes over to the house. The brother asks, are you going to marry Matt? To her sister Josie.
To
She's
his
like,
sister?
To his sister.
Yeah.
And Josie's like, I don't know. And Matt shows up at the house in a gorgeous car.
Yeah,
It's like a green.
I mean, it's way too good for him. It's like one
Yeah.
of those like 1950s.
Well, his character kind of
cars.
looks like he walked out of one of those movies from the 50s, 60s.
I mean, I
he's
guess-
like he's got like the
He can
collar
alternate
up, his hair.
He can alternate decades. He can be 50s or 80s
Yeah,
because
and
he does like 80s.
A lot of shots keep changing too. What he looks like. He
Yeah.
seems like in certain angles he looks like a whole nother person. It's really strange. He shows up at the house to pick up Josie, and they have a little flirty thing.
God, last time I saw you, you were 16.
Yeah.
We were engaged.
Yeah.
But here's the point. Here's the thing that's important here. He talks to her like shit.
Yeah, he sucks.
He sucks. His flirting with this girl is along the lines of like
You still got that tooth.
and things like that. It's
Yeah,
just
like-
really weird. Like,
Still as bitchy as you were at 16, huh?
oh, you're still a bitch, huh?
Yeah.
And she kisses him every time he says one of these things.
Yeah, it's like what is this? This character is awful. He's awful.
Yeah.
But it should be established at this point something is going on in the forest.
Well, yeah, they get out there.
They
We already
go-
saw the girl murdered, so we already know that.
The girl gets murdered, and so they don't.
Somebody's responsible.
Somebody's responsible.
Mhm.
No, but they don't know anything about it. So they go to the forest.
Well, that's the thing. Actually, they go to a waterfall,
They go to a
play in water for a
waterfall.
couple minutes.
Yeah, and then they go into the forest, and then they. I don't know. I guess they had sex because
they
they were putting their clothes were on. They kissed, and then 5 seconds later they were putting their clothes.
Yes,
like,
well, that's the
they
thing.
look like they were putting their clothes back on.
They actually
It
have a
was weird.
fight.
Yeah.
He actually says something mean to her or something.
Yeah.
And she walks off, and he stops her, and then the next scene is them putting their clothes on.
Yeah, that's why I looked at you. I'm like, wait, is this bad editing or did they just? I don't know. Why are we supposed to think that they were having sex?
They
I don't
did.
Know. It doesn't.
So,
I don't know.
and here's
Whatever.
what's
It doesn't even
better.
matter.
They were having sex on the floor on his jacket, and guess what? That girl's dead body is literally right next to where they were having
It is
sex.
like 1 foot away
Yeah.
from them.
They can't
One.
smell it,
You
and they
can't-
never even notice that
Yeah.
her body.
And
laying
she's
next
wearing like a bright pink shirt,
Yep.
and you can't see that there's a body next to you. It's like literally right next to them.
She has a backpack with a
Oh
pink
my
bunny sticking out of it. It's like
God.
right there next to them.
Yeah, it's just so her dead body's there, and so
They finally see it
They-
after they're getting their pants back on.
yeah, so they freak out. They run to the sheriff. Okay, now enter the single worst law enforcement agent in any bad movie we have ever seen.
I'll go out there with you kids, but I don't believe you. Frankly, Josie, I think you two kids went up into the woods, snorted something that you brought back from the big city.
You got no call, Sheriff. We saw that body. We can go to the state police.
All right, all right. We'll fill out the report. You kids seem so anxious to do it.
We already told you everything, Sheriff.
Yeah, look, why don't we just go there, okay?
There's no hurry. If you really saw a corpse, it's not going anywhere. It won't run away.
He is the worst, the sheriff. Okay,
Yeah.
they're saying, "Oh my God, we found a dead body. We found a dead body, sheriff. Come, with us right now. Come to the forest." Oh, you kids are just full of crap.
He's like, you brought some of that cocaine from the city, and you guys
Yeah.
were doing it up in the forest.
How do I know that you guys haven't been snorting that cocaine? I don't think you saw anything. There's nothing there. You kids are just pulling my leg.
Or maybe it moseyed down to the soda shop for a spot of Coke. Hey, kids? Ah, you kids. You get my goat.
Oh my God, he's the worst.
And it is, again, another overdubbed performance that is insanely overdubbed. And I cannot tell if it's the same actor because it's linking up with his mouth pretty well, but it's like completely another audio track. So it's very hard to tell. This guy also looks like a fatter version of the actor who plays Roger Rabbit. He's a very strange. This guy's very strange looking, and he reminds me of a bunch of people. I cannot pinpoint it, but I looked him up, and he's not. I don't know him from anything else.
I remember you from high school. Both of you. Troublemakers.
We're not in high school anymore, Sheriff.
Maybe you ought to be.
So
I mean, we don't know any of these people from anything else.
they have to do some paperwork for some reason. He's like, "Why were you out there? What you doing?" Well, they go out to the middle of the forest to find the body, and of course, the body has moved.
Is gone.
And they go to the gas station on the way back to the police station for some strange reason to gas up his car. It isn't really.
He just started insulting that old man that works at the gas station for no reason.
Well,
he's just a freaking lunatic.
Well, the old man at the gas. Oh, and we didn't talk about this. Before all that happened, his dog got loose outside and was killed by the bushes. So
we don't know. It wasn't the bushes.
Well, he runs into the bushes and it's moving, and then we hear the whips and everything, and we hear growling, and we hear the dog die.
So at this point, you can honestly imagine what's going on up there.
We're just like, oh, some kind of like monster, some kind of
No,
plant
it's like
monster.
the happening, but like the crappening.
Well, the gas station attendant tells the sheriff, "I'm in mourning, chief," and he's like, "Oh, that's funny. That's nice."
It's like the worst sheriff. Like he says the worst thing.
And then he's like, the guy's sad, and he's pumping his gas for him, and then he goes, "Hey, where's your dog?" He's like, "He's dead," and he's like, "Oh, that's a shame." He's like, "Yeah, I'm all alone out here now, sheriff," and he's like, "Oh well."
Yeah, I mean, the guy's the worst freaking law enforcement officer like in any bad movie. He's like the worst. He doesn't give a shit. So then
we cut to the power plant people again. Lee Kaufman and him. They are the ones that stole the body. It turns out the sheriff has called them and told them the body's out there, and that's why he was stalling the kids.
Yeah.
This is told in a way where you don't really know you're like, is the sheriff in on it?
Yeah, you
And
don't
you're
really
like,
know.
I don't really understand, but they keep mentioning stuff, and you're like, oh, I got to piece it together. And they show the body, and they're looking at this woman's body, and there is roots growing in her face.
Now, I will say this as a plus for the movie. I like the way she looked with the roots growing out of her face. I thought
you didn't
that
look
was
close enough. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a shitty makeup job, but
it wasn't bad.
It wasn't like the worst.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's kind of neato. You know, she looked kind of gross. I liked it. So that was one plus about the movie so far. The only plus about the movie so far.
Oh, well, I'm in love with the acting.
I mean, the acting is
insane.
it's Jesus Christ. I've never seen such bad acting. It's bad.
The Prissy Pants doctor, he has a whole line of explaining the roots are alive.
So the fragments of vegetation. Roots, actually. Yeah, what we found inside the body of the girl. They're highly radioactive, and there are cellular oddities. Apparent genetic mutation, which are utterly inexplicable. Kruger, these plants are carnivorous.
I'll be right there.
Okay.
But the reason that they're carnivorous is because there's toxic
He's like, the toxic...
toxic waste.
Well, they're kind of hinting at they dumped it.
Yeah.
And it's affecting the roots in the trees. And also, the boyfriend guy, the boyfriend material, after their date, when they got home with the cop, he says something nasty to her again. She smacks the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And he
but it wasn't that bad, was it? What did he say to her?
The sheriff is an asshole.
Oh, for God's sake, drop it, Matt. Who cares anyway? There's nothing we can do about it. She's dead. Ever since I've been back, nothing's been going right.
Well, it's not my fault.
I didn't want to go to the waterfall. If we hadn't gone there, we would have been mixed up in all this mess. Shit, I even got poison ivy.
Oh, come on. If you want to fight, at least be straight about it. You act like you don't even like me anymore. Maybe I don't stack up against your big city buddies.
Don't be an idiot.
Now you're going to tell me you like mature men.
Come on.
Maybe you prefer rolling around in the poison ivy with one of your sophisticated city boyfriends.
His father turns out to be, he works with a helicopter.
Yeah, he's a helicopter
pilot. And they do like helicopter rescues or something like that. And they know about the nature, like the trees and everything. And they for some reason have discovered that the trees are all dying, which is weird because there was a rain. They said they had a lot of rainy weather.
Oh, they said that it was probably acid rain that's killing the trees.
Yeah,
this
they
was
just
before
kept
they knew.
speculating. They said, why is the rain really good? Why are the trees they're soaking up and they're drying out?
Yeah, they're drying
dying
out. All the trees are drying
in this
out.
one area. And they're like acid rain and things are changing. And they don't really know, but they set that up too. They keep jumping around to everything. So that guy Taylor, who is working at the power plant, he's drunk at the local bar. And he's like ranting about how, you know, he needs to do something about it, but he's drunk as hell. And he's like ranting to the people. And a woman sitting at the bar moves over to him.
Paula.
And her name is Paula.
She's the hooker.
She a hooker.
She a hooker. And she walks up to him and she's like, hey, baby, you want to go back to my place and talk some more? And he's like, whoa. So he pays up and they go out. But as they are leaving, they run into the sheriff who's coming in. And he's like, Sheriff, I got to talk to you. We got to talk. I got a lot of information. And Paula's like, come on, honey. We can talk to him later. And the sheriff's like, oh, my God. He's like, well, glad he's drunk. He's like, Paula can only get guys that are drunk because this way they don't have to see what she looks like.
She's the hooker.
That was rude.
And I'm not going to say something.
No, he didn't say that. He said she only takes home guys that are drunk so they can't see what they're getting into.
Yes, which is the same thing as what I said. Yes,
which is probably a shot at her vagina.
I think it's a shot at her all
I mean, what
together.
they're getting into.
Can I say this? Paula's not the ugliest woman on the earth.
No, there's something wrong with her.
She's not ugly. And it's like,
There's
they're
nothing
making
wrong
her
with her.
out to be like really skeevy.
Well, because she's a prostitute, so
she's the hooker.
So
now, if it was by the actress who played the prostitute in My Name is Earl, I would be like, okay, I get that. That's a funny thing. But this woman isn't like bad looking. So I was like, really? Like, they could have done something more with this. Yeah, but Taylor, they just cut to him and her in her bed, and he's just staring at the camera basically, and he's like, I got to do something about this radiation. This is a big problem. And she's in the background like, oh god.
this is the most useless scene in the movie.
Well, for some reason it ties into another scene, which is even more funny. Paula's just sick of it. She needs someone to bang her, and those guys need to
money.
shut up. Like, oh god, you know, why are you sitting here? Just shut up and have sex, you know? And he's like, no, I got this map. And he starts like writing on this map, and he's like, I got these areas I'm pinpointing where the radiation is, and he's like all these numbers, and he's doing all this like this.
In all fairness, though, she actually grabs him by his arm and like pulls him out of the bar.
Yeah.
He wasn't willing to go with her.
He looks at her. He's like, "Yep."
But he didn't. I mean, honestly,
he throws the money right off the bar. Yeah, let's go.
But I don't think that he really knew. He was so wasted. I don't really think that he planned on doing anything with her.
Why are you talking about his morals?
I don't even know. First of all, he's the only character in the entire movie that can act. And secondly, yes, that's the truth.
You keep saying that.
It's true. He can actually deliver a line. The rest of these fools can't deliver a line for shit. But it doesn't matter because you could just... That scene was so useless.
It comes back.
It comes back later for 2 seconds.
Well, there's like how information comes around, which is really funny. So he like runs out of her house because she says something and he's like, that's it. I have to go to the cops or whatever. I think he goes to the power plant at this point to confront things. He thinks he's figuring it out. And he goes to the power plant and there's like a scene of him coming out of an elevator and then like touching the elevator door. And there's two guys in full suit jackets.
Because he realized that they were probably goons and he was like in trouble.
Two guys just sitting there staring at him. And he goes on a run, and this becomes a chase that what I would say goes on for hours because it goes from daytime to night during this chase.
I don't remember it going to nighttime. I must
How do you
have
not
been...
remember? Because when they get to the forest, it's completely
Oh,
pitch
yeah, that's
black.
right. I couldn't see shit.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, can you make the TV brighter?
I had to turn off the lights.
Was happening.
This chase is incredible. These two goons that are chasing him, Taylor, are hilarious. They talk to each other in the worst line deliveries ever. He's like, he's getting away. Chase him.
He's heading for the village. Catch him before he gets there.
And then the other guy, they cut back to him and he goes this, he's eluding me. He's like, well, get up to him quicker.
I mean, it's just...
And he pulls out a gun. He's like, I'm going to get him.
Subject is not cooperating. Just shut up and step on it.
It's like the two deputies in Plan 9. Like, it's just like, their line delivery is so silly and goofy. I was like, what is going on? Like, okay, so obviously they work for the power plant and they're trying to take out this guy because he's learning about the toxic waste that was dumped in the area.
Which we said.
So yeah, we already know that they're gonna try and take him out. But
he puts a gun up in the air and holds it next to his face, the one goon, and he's like, I'm gonna get him. And he holds the gun up in the air. It's amazing.
This movie is incredible.
They knock him off the road, and then suddenly it's nighttime. And they get out of the cars, and they chase them. The two goons chase him into the woods.
Have you ever hunted possum? Over there. Dr. Taylor, we advise you to come out.
Where, right when they get into the woods, Taylor is not touched, but the two goons are completely wrapped in vines.
Oh my god.
Straight out of Evil Dead 2.
It was amazing.
Or Evil Dead movie.
Yeah, it was straight out of Evil Dead.
And one of the two gentlemen is scream acting. In the funniest scream acting. He is just going on and on. He's like,
it's
going on, and they just keep getting wrapped and whipped.
That whipping sound is pretty much the star of the movie.
It's definitely one of them. And he's screaming and screaming, and Taylor's just watching. And he's like, wow. Like, he's just stunned. That's his whole reaction to it. Like, holy crap. And they're getting whipped. And this goes on for a good minute of him screaming.
Yeah.
And then finally just going,
he probably told the director, I can't do this anymore in my throat.
holy shit. Another character
Like,
does
get me
that
out.
too later on.
I made
It's
so many
amazing.
Plan 9 jokes during this movie.
Yeah. So, Taylor has now seen it firsthand. And we start getting other things because the old man also goes out in the woods because he hears something. And he's like, it's what killed my dog. So he goes out in the woods and he also gets killed.
Yep.
And
poor guy.
yes, this leads to a cover-up where that guy's son comes to town to claim his body.
No, it was grandson. His grandson came to town.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, they said grandson. He
Is that
absolutely said
right?
it. Yes,
Because I could swear
100%.
someone else at the end says you should have listened to his son.
No, his grandfather. He said, I'm his only kin. Yeah, that's it. It was his grandfather, and he was old as dirt anyway. There's no way that could be his father. But they
there's some baffling
there's
groups
some
of people who are supposed to be related.
The casting in this movie is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was grandfather, and so he learns that his grandfather died, and he had to come, and I guess they called him to claim the body.
They say, "Oh, that's not necessary. We already buried him. You're late."
Yeah, like he missed the funeral. Like,
Yeah.
how'd you have a funeral for my grandfather when nobody else would pay for it?
Yeah,
like,
and
who
this-
paid for it?
This guy's like, what the fuck is happening? And he's like, hey. And the best part about this is the sheriff, he's a bad guy. Of course, he's in on this whole thing. But he won't stop saying troublemakers.
Yeah.
But it's not troublemakers, dude. They're just people trying to do the normal things that anybody would do. And you're the one causing trouble for them. You think you would make this a little easier and smarter, like, to trick people? And by the way, there's only 2 cops in this entire town.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one cop doesn't speak at all. He looks like the father from License to Drive. He doesn't speak at all. He
Oh
just
my God.
constantly polishing a gun in every shot. So yeah, this guy's like, I'm gonna get to something's wrong in this town, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. And he walks out, and that's when the sheriff's like, "Damn troublemaker," and he's like, "Oh, you know what? It turns out that he's an investigative reporter."
Yep.
Wow, what are the odds?
What are the odds that he
Yeah.
comes to this town to claim his grandfather who passed away, and he is actually a journalist, so
Yeah.
he can report the situation? Yeah.
And what's really funny is how this all connects, because there's not many characters in this town. Well, until the ending. He walks down the road, and just what happens upon... Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Before that happens, after that one kid was slapped by the girl, he went on his own little bender. He went to the bar and got some drinks as well. And while he was trying to get a drink, Paula
She's the hooker.
Oh,
sees
yeah, that's
him
right.
and's like, hey, baby, we should come back to my place. And they get a shot of him at her place, but he's also doing the same thing that Taylor was doing, where he's like, there's a lot of problems in this town, and I gotta figure it out. And by the way, this is a girl I love, and she finally came back into town. Paula's like, I just want to have sex. Can you stop? All these people just keep coming to my house
this girl's
talking.
just trying to make a living.
He's like, this other guy came in my house and he's talking about power plants and radiation and all these things going wrong in the forest. And then he goes, huh? And he's like, and now I got one in my house talking about dead bodies and ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, and by the way.
Yeah, and then he's like,
Taylor
wait a
left
minute,
this
what's
thing
with this guy talking about radiation? What'd he say?
That guy, he was so plastered, he stumbled out of here and forgot.
Well, he had a map and he left it here,
He left
actually.
this map here. Here, take the map.
Now, this is my favorite part. This kid gets this map and he looks at it and goes,
Shit. Wish I knew what these damn numbers meant.
I don't know what these little circles and numbers mean, but I bet they mean something. And he's like,
somebody's responsible.
yeah, and he leaves with it. Now, if that's not great, that line, he says it again to another character. He's like, look, this, I don't know what it means, but it must mean something.
I mean,
So-
he's just such an idiot.
Well, him and this girl get back together. They kind of get back together.
No, that was real shitty of you to say those things to me yesterday.
Can we just drop it?
I don't know.
He is in front of her house, and like she's in front of his house, and they're making up or whatever. And that just so happens to be when the old man's grandson, like you said,
Yeah.
walks up. He just is walking down the block until he can find somebody in the plot, I guess.
Yeah.
He just walks out of the nowhere.
It just shows up out of nowhere.
and
It's weird.
They're sitting in like a swing set in the front, and he walks up, and they get out of the swing. You know, he's pushing his girlfriend on the swing or some sort. And they get up and they go toward him because that's what people do when they see random strangers walking. And they introduce each other. And he says, I'm looking for this guy who happens to be that kid's father, not Tommy Chong.
Oh, yeah.
Because it turns out that his father is not Tommy Chong. And this kid's looking for him because his grandfather always talked about this guy. It's really, really weird how this is coming together. So he's like, oh, that's my father. He's inside. Okay, bye. And he goes to go see the father. Then we get a scene of him talking to the father. And that guy's like, he's like, I wish I would have kept up with my grandfather more. And he's like, I wish I would have checked in on him more because he was out there alone with his dog and I feel really bad. And he's like, he always talked really highly of you and your mother. So there's a woman with not Tommy Chong who looks like an older woman, but they look to me not too separate in age. And
so funny.
I thought it was his wife.
I thought it was
but
his
it's
wife, too.
mother.
But it's his-
Nobody
it-
has no one has a spouse.
Nobody has a spouse,
Nobody
but
has
it
a
reminded me
spouse.
of that episode of Seinfeld. Remember when what's his face, what's his name, the Tannenbaum guy, that he was an old guy and he was like lifting weights, and Jerry, he had like a younger
It was
son.
Lloyd Bridges.
Yeah, it was Lloyd Bridges.
Yep.
And he had a younger son, and then he had another son.
That's
it was
right.
like they were all like 118 years old. That's the way I was.
That's so true.
Seinfeld episode. I
Yes.
love that.
And that's what's going on here. It's just that this one kid, his father and his mother are all living in this house.
Mm-hmm.
And they all seem so close in age that it's so confusing. And the kid looks nothing like the guy playing his father.
Like that matters.
No, but it's like imagine Zach Morris and Tommy Chong's playing his father.
I know.
It's very, very strange. Like, it's very weird. Well, thank you for being friends with my father or whatever. And he's like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. But he leaves the house and they're outside listening and they say, hey, we really should talk to you. There's a lot of stuff happening in this town. And we saw a body. And he's like, body? And he's like, yes. He's like, there's a lot of odd things. I don't trust the sheriff. I think he's hiding stuff. And like, so do I. So they plan to go. So yeah, he has this plan to go dig up the grave of his grandfather, to see what's going on. He also gives them that map that he found and said, this is a map from the power plant guy. And there's lines on it. And it must mean something to somebody. And they're like, well, what does it mean? I don't know. So
well, they dig up the grave and they're...
well, they meet up, and for some reason Josie is late to show up, and he's like angry about it. He's like, she's late. And he's like, maybe she has a good reason for it. And she shows up with her brother, her young brother, for some strange reason.
It doesn't say, she doesn't
And
say
he's
why.
like, he's like, I hope you brought snacks for the whatever the hell it is. And then that little kid goes, I hope you're not marrying him. He's a real dick.
Yeah.
You know?
His name is Davy. But, like, it's like one of those things where, like, most of the time when kids enter the scene, like, in a horror movie, they get annoying, you know? But
He doesn't.
he doesn't. He's fine.
He's actually barely in this. Like, so they go to the grave. For some reason, all 4 of these characters go to the cemetery and dig up the grandfather's grave, which is just full of rocks, his coffin. He's not really buried there. And this leads the grandson, the reporter, to say, oh, he's going to stonewall me. Like, he's found stones, and then the first thing he says is, oh, he thinks he can stonewall me, huh? It's like, wow.
Well, we know that the power plant people are corrupt and they stole the old man's body, obviously.
Yeah,
because
he's one of the infected, or
Yeah.
he was eaten by this thing. And the cops come and they sneak off right before they get there. And they see that, oh, they figured it out. He's like, those pesky kids. And he tells the father from License to Drive to fill in the hole while he just leaves. Yeah. And exactly when he starts filling the hole, the plants eat the deputy.
Yep.
And he just gets killed.
So that's like the only other cop in the entire town.
Yes.
So now we're just left with the asshole sheriff.
Yeah. Who, going back to also investigate, now that they know that, they also wondering about the dog that died. So they go back to the grandfather's trailer to go look for the dog's body, which is really comical because they say they can't find the grave. Where is it? And it's like literally right next to them.
The grandson of the old man's like, there's a grave marker right
Yeah,
there.
like, I think it's right here.
Like, it was like
we can see it.
The actor was pointing out to the director that, you're an idiot. Yeah. Why would you write this kind of dialogue? Like, it's so stupid.
It's so strange too because Josie and the brother are just inside the trailer. Mm-hmm. And it seems like they've been walking around for a few minutes, and then it's right in front of the door for where they are. And they go, well, okay, let's go investigate the dog now. And exactly at that moment, the sheriff comes onto them and pulls a gun out on them and tells them to get inside the trailer. And he also sees Josie and the brother are in there. And he's like, oh, it's a family reunion. I got all you troublemakers.
Yep. And then the best scene in the movie happens.
And he's like, well, we're going to like basically figure this out together. And I would say that Taylor got tricked before this happened. And Taylor went to the cops and they locked him in the jail cell.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was also occurring.
So he's in jail just sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah. He slowly gets out by getting a spring out of a door jammy or whatever. And he picks the lock. And that's just happening in the background. These kids, they all get into the trailer, and he brings them with a gun into the trailer.
Well, looks like a family reunion. Let's see if I can find out what to do with you.
And that's when the plants decide to rip through the entire house and kill the sheriff. And another screaming montage of this guy just dying.
Yes,
like just screaming.
I was laughing my head off because it was so comical. Like the tree branches were coming through his face and stuff.
It goes into his mouth and comes out his eye.
Yes, but the like fake head that they were using, like absolutely, they didn't even try. They didn't even try. It doesn't look anything like the sheriff at all. It was incredible.
I like that.
I laughed so hard.
Screaming.
Yeah, and he's
got a whole tree branch in his face,
and it's coming through his eye, and like literally he just keeps screaming, and it's the paper mache head and everything. Like I was just laughing my freaking head off.
Well, what's amazing about this too is they told the actor, because he's got a prosthetic branch coming out of his eye, and they told him basically to cover it up, just put your hand in front of your mouth.
Yeah.
To cover up where the root is going through your mouth.
Yeah.
So that's really, really funny. This leads our core group of characters to go run off and try to warn the town that there's problems.
Yeah.
And this is also a hilarious sequence because Josie and the brother go get the mother, and the mother's woken up in the middle of the night. She's got the curlers in. She's like, "Oh, Josie's back in town. There's always a problem with Josie." And the brother just he's got to get a gun. Although they just saw plants murder a man.
Yeah.
And he's like, "I got to get my toy gun."
Yeah, so this scene goes on way too long, first of all. This stupid-ass kid goes
don't know
upstairs
why he
looking
needs
for
his
his
gun.
little laser gun. He's too old to know, he's too old to not know that this little laser gun is not going to hurt these things.
Yeah, also the fact that he should be traumatized from just seeing a plant burst through a trailer and kill somebody.
Yeah.
And you think that he would be all messed up, but he's just playing with his toy. And of course, the Roots come in the house to try to kill him.
Yeah.
At the same time, we see Roots also attacking the boyfriend's grandmother in the stable as she's feeding horses. And it strangles her and pulls her up in the sky. And again, scream acting, just screaming.
Mhm.
And the horse just watching.
Yep.
And the son, or the kid's father, comes in to try to save her, and he fights off the plants as the son comes home and saves him, and they get out alive. And the mother has died.
Mm-hmm.
But the best part of this whole joke is that the guy that's the reporter, investigative reporter, he has to go to what looks like shacks in the middle of nowhere, and he bangs on one that looks like a porta potty, and the guy instantly starts shooting, right? And one of them we could not stop. And this guy gets, after he runs off from getting shot at, the plants kill that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like he was living in a porta potty. But the best one is he goes to an actual house, knocks on the doors, the lights come on, then the lights go off, and then you just hear a guy inside the house go, "I'm going to shoot you."
Hey, your life is in danger! Come out, quick! Go away or I'll shoot you. Jesus.
And we
It was so
lost it laughing.
stupid. I lost my mind.
He just keeps running off like, "Well, screw you fucking
I
people.
lost my
All you people
mind.
could die. I don't care." He just keeps trying. And they all meet up at a place, and they're all just chilling. This is a weird part about the movie. There's plants, and they can't establish where these plants are coming from because they're all over the place. One point they're in a cemetery. One point they're at someone's house. Another, they're killing people in the trailer. They seem to be all over the place, but then there's this one house where they're all just chilling out on a fence.
Yeah.
And the one kid drives up, the reporter, and he drives up and he goes, "This town's crazy. Everybody's shooting at me."
It's fucking baffling. And also, okay, we forgot to say that they went to a phone to call the National Guard, which is what not Jennifer Beals said.
Yeah.
She wants to call the National Guard because no one's going to help them. So the phone's not working. And so the phones are down.
Yeah.
That's a major plot point.
Well, someone's like, "The phones aren't down, and my radio has been broken for a week, so I can't use that too."
So there's no way to
There's
call
no
anyone.
way to call anybody. It's
And
ridiculous.
So that right there, that point just makes everything that's about to happen so much crazier in this movie. It's like the director just forgot that these little things happen.
Well, we can't skip over I think, the best moment in the movie. You said the best moment was the
Oh my
cop
god!
getting killed.
Clearly, the sheriff getting killed, and he's getting sucked through the
My
bottom.
favorite part of the movie is Taylor shows up and meets the group of characters. Now all the characters are together, and they decide to go to the power plant and confront Lloyd Kaufman. And this is
Not Lloyd Kaufman.
This acting, this guy blows my mind. He has a monologue where he's just like, "Yeah, the plants are doing it, and they're never going to be stopped. And it's great. They're hungry, and they're going to kill. It's great."
He doesn't even give a fuck that he's like responsible for all of
And
this.
they're like, "You're insane." And he's like, "Yes." And he starts evil laughing, but it's terrible acting. So
it's
he's
like the worst. And it's like a hearty, like,
yeah. And he pulls out a gun, and he waves it on all them, and he's like, "You're right. I am. And none of you guys are going to know." He's like, "They're going to win. They're going to take over." And they're like, "Yeah, and the whole world's going to know you did it, and they're going to get you too." And he's like, "They're not going to get me." And he blows his brains out.
There has been a radioactive leak, and I am sure it has something to do with what's going on.
Dr. Taylor, I've had enough of you. You're fired.
Good. Then I won't have to go to prison when all this is out. And rest assured, you're not going to get off easy.
depends on how you look at it, Taylor. I have no doubts as to what is happening. The fact is, it's too late. Nothing can be done about it now.
It's not too late. Let us use your radio. We can call the National Guard.
We shouldn't have let them try it. Now they've acquired a taste for it. They like it. They're hungry for more.
You're crazy.
We know that you embezzled funds intended for the toxic waste disposal, and you took the radioactive waste and dumped it somewhere in the forest.
We're gonna find it.
You better tell us where the waste site is before it's too late.
So you haven't found the site yet. Maybe there is no waste site.
Tell us where the site is, for Christ's sake.
I've got you now, Kruger. You might as well cooperate.
You want me to cooperate?
You can kill us, but you're never gonna get away with it.
Oh, no. They're never going to get me.
Yeah, he just blows
That's
his brains
it.
out right in front of them. But we don't see like the shock and terror of it on their faces. Like no one gets to act in this movie.
Well, the not Tommy Chong guy, he jumps from the
He
gunshot.
jumps, but,
like
like,
the brains were gonna fly out.
It's like the most ridiculous. Like I mean, if I saw somebody do that in front of me, I would be a little bit more traumatized.
Agreed.
And they just didn't even react.
This
at
is
all.
great. I don't know if they ever show the fate of Prissy Pants, Dr. Prissy.
No, I never show the fate of him.
No,
I think he just scoots out of the movie.
I don't think they show it, and
No.
if they did, I do not recall. But they go back to that house, that farm, and that's when the kid shows up and the reporter, and he's telling them, everybody's shooting me. Everybody in this town's crazy. We need to call the Bureau of
It's agriculture. The Department of Agriculture.
yeah. And he's like, we gotta call him. He's like, now I guess they forgot that the phones don't work. So why he's
That's what I'm
saying this
saying.
line of dialogue is hilarious.
You gotta call them, but the
Doesn't
fucking
make
phones are
sense.
down.
And he's like, no, we can't call them. And then one was like, well, we gotta call the government. And the other guy's like, oh, that'll take forever. The government sucks. And they're like, yeah, he's right. So let's not do anything. And then the reporter's like, well, screw you guys. If you're not doing the way I'm doing it, do it your own way. I'm leaving. And he just takes off. Right? And they're like, well, the little kid goes, nerd.
But like there's no phones. The phones are down in the entire place. So like how do they call anyone?
Oh, we also can I just point this out about the reporter real fast, because I think at the end it comes back and in a weird way. But do you think that somewhere in the movie they were like, well, this reporter character is gay? And
I
at
don't
the
recall
end,
that.
well, no. Do you think that they thought that? And so at the end, there's a line of dialogue that is really strange.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like that Michael McKean joke in Mr. Green in Clue, where he's like,
Oh,
"I'm going to
yeah.
go home and sleep with my wife."
Yes, well, because he out and out says, I work for the State Department and I'm a homosexual.
But he'll lose,
So-
he'll lose his job on state
on,
ground.
on security grounds.
Yeah.
I must keep it a secret.
So there's something like that in this movie where he's he seems feminine, and I don't know if the director and the writer wanted to do something with that, or they felt like, oh, we can't have that, because there's a line later on at the very end where he's like, he says like a woman's name, and they go, who's that? And he's like, my wife. And they're like,
Oh, yeah.
and he's like, why, you guys shocked about that?
Yeah, that
And I
was,
was like,
weird. It was
weird.
very misplaced and odd. But can we
Such
just
a
talk about
strange line of dialogue.
how they're going to solve this problem? So there's no phones, but in the next scene, the entire
Well, after the reporter
town-
leaves,
yeah, after
the
the
entire
reporter
town.
leaves, the entire town shows up. Now, who called all these people?
Yes.
Okay, it's like they're all smiling. They're all smiling when they get there. Did you notice that? So it's like this is not like
No,
a hoedown or a
because-
rodeo or anything. Like this is we're gonna have to kill some killer trees.
One of the characters goes, who's going to help us? We need help. Who's going to help us? And then the mother just goes, them.
Yeah.
And like 50 trucks full of people
Oh
with
my God.
pitchforks and shovels show up.
So tell me how, with no phones, did they get these people over to the house in literally 10
Yeah.
seconds?
Who spread the line?
Don't
Who spread the
even
word?
try. Like carrier pigeon?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know.
But my favorite part of this is Paula shows up
She's the hooker.
in a tank top, like a cut off stomach thing. She walks in, grabs a shovel, everybody shuts up and everybody gets quiet and they're like whispering in the background. And she does a little walk like, yeah, I know, I'm here and I'm badass and I don't care. And then finally the mother walks up and shakes her hand and says, thanks, Paula, for being here. And then the whole crowd goes, yeah, Paula, thanks. Yeah, Paula's great.
Like, who gives a shit about
What
Paula?
is this moment?
Because she's one of the only
The
established
prostitute
people.
has an arc. She has an arc. Like, it's
Well,
so strange.
She's had more than 5 minutes of screen time, that's why. So everyone's like, oh, yay, Paula. But she literally has nothing to do. In
It's
fact,
like-
when they get there and they're digging up the drums of radioactive material that's causing these trees to come alive and kill people, she literally dies in 5 seconds.
What happens is they find before we get to that, let's tell how we even get there, because they all jump in these cars. They basically look like a lynch mob going.
They do,
and
yeah.
but they can't figure out where the location of the sewage is making the plants crazy.
So it's not
So-
sewage, it's radioactive material
You know what I
from their
mean?
drum.
The raw radioactive sewage like stuff that they're doing, whatever it is. They have a whole thing where Taylor tells them a whole belief in what's happening, but he goes, "Look, I'm not a scientist in that sense. I don't know anything about what I'm saying." And then he keeps talking about it though.
Right, but his whole
He's like the
entire
isotopes
thing.
and the whole thing. It's like,
But
well,
his
dude, you
sto-
seem like you know a lot
his
about what's
whole
happening.
story arc in this movie is that he knows what's going on and he's
But he
trying to
doesn't.
prove it.
He keeps saying, "I don't understand why it's coming from the forest
Why
and
are
not
the
the
trees
plants."
dying? What is going on?
He keeps saying, "Where's it coming from?" Well, so Taylor comes up with a plan with the not Tommy Chong father guy, and he's like, "I have a helicopter. We'll fly over these areas that I think they are, and we'll see." And they get in their helicopter and they fly over and they find a site, and they go, "That's it." They can see the barrels. So they decide to land in the most batshit idea ever. They land, and he gets out in raw toxic waste without a suit.
No, there's no hazmat suit.
No
and he's
suit.
just in there touching toxic radioactive
Yeah, he's doing
materials.
some tests. And
he has
also-
a Geiger counter.
Yes,
and
he's
it's
got a
going
Geiger count.
crazy.
It's going crazy. And the best part is there's a killer monster roots coming out of this area. And
Yeah.
so what do you think happens? Taylor is instantly killed.
Yep.
Now he's like one of the main characters. He just gets riddled with the roots, and not Tommy Chong gets in the helicopter. Oh shit! And he takes off. They wrap the helicopter, and it just explodes.
So the roots, this is the most amazing thing ever. The roots are actually coming up to the helicopter to hold on to the helicopter so it doesn't take off.
Mm-hmm.
So what actually made the helicopter explode?
I think they're saying. I think it gets into the engine or something. I don't really know, but it just explodes.
Because if the helicopter exploded, wouldn't it also take the roots with it? Because the roots would have then...
Also blow up the toxic waste site.
Yes, and it was that close to the toxic waste site that the whole entire thing might have just blown.
It should have just been on fire.
Right.
Because toxic waste, is that not flammable?
I mean...
I don't know.
I don't know
Yeah.
what kind of toxic waste we're dealing with here.
I don't either.
But...
The movie doesn't either.
No, nobody knows. But
so now we
yeah.
got Taylor's dead and the kid's father. And now the kid's from afar says, they found it. It's over there. And he's like, he saw the explosion. He's like, we have to go find my father. And everybody gets to the site. And then this one, and by the way, no fire, no wreckage.
No, nothing.
Just this guy comes over to the son and holds him back and goes, you don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Your father's
They-
dead.
like-
You don't want to see it.
Thanks for even giving us anything.
Yeah.
It was the most okay, let's just scoot this out of the movie.
So
it was just so stupid.
This guy's grandmother has died, and his father has now died.
Yeah, and
He's
same day.
completely alone. And at that same time, the little brother gets almost killed by the roots.
Again, if you're watching, to the left is the most talented band in all the land trying to lend a hand. The Roots from Philadelphia, ladies and gentlemen.
and Paula jumps in front of it and pushes him out of the way, and she dies instantly.
She's the hooker.
And then the mother just keeps yelling out for the kid's name. Like, what's his name?
Davy.
Davy, which is a joke, by the way. He even looks like that character, that Davy and the dog clay animation thing. You don't know what I'm talking about?
No.
Hey, Davy. You don't remember that?
No.
Glad that no matter what happens, God is there.
God is there?
Sure, Goliath. God is there through the hands of the people who help after a disaster.
Shouldn't we help?
You're right, Goliath.
But how can we help? We're just a boy and a dog.
Even small hands and paws can make a big difference if we all work together.
Let's go ask the grown-ups to help too.
Oh, wow. We used to watch Moral Oral. I used to make fun of that.
Oh, all right.
The kid's name is Davy.
Oh, okay.
But Moral Oral was making fun of an old clay animation show from when I was a kid.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So yeah, Davy, and she's like screaming, Davy, 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 where's Davy, where's Davy? And Davy runs up crying, and he goes, Paula's dead.
Who Paula is? She's the hooker.
That's it.
Okay.
Paula's dead. Okay. Well, thanks
a whole
for...
bunch of other guys kept getting killed. Too.
Yeah, there were so many of those other like volunteers that were just getting dragged into the forest by the roots and just getting, completely obliterated.
Yeah. And just when all of our characters are gonna die, pretty much, all out of nowhere, an entire bunch of construction trucks show up, and they start pushing all the toxic waste into a hole.
Yeah.
And they're like, who is it? And a guy in a gas mask and a whole thing comes out. I'm like, who are you? And he pulls it off, and it's the reporter.
Yeah, so he came back.
And he's like, hey, guys.
Yeah.
I decided to come back and help.
He brought all the trucks, all the, what do you call those? Bulldozers and stuff. And so they're pushing all the toxic waste in a hole. But
so, Joe, how did this stop the
how did it stop that? Because honestly, they were
it's still in the soil.
Yeah. And also, they were loading some of those barrels in trucks.
To move it.
Yeah. So how is that helping anything? You're not helping anything.
I don't really understand.
I don't either.
There's one of them is leaking.
Yeah.
And it made the roots and the soil bad. So how is any of this stopping that? Or the spread of the roots in the ground and the soil site?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't understand any of that.
I don't get it at all. And if that's the source of how the roots were, being, I guess, irradiated or whatever, and like coming to life, none of the barrels were open. Did you notice that?
I noticed that too, and I was trying to figure it out. I was like, and all these people are like irradiated, like they're all sick.
Yeah, they're
They
all just
got
digging.
covered in toxic waste.
Yeah, and they're in a radiation zone where like it's already on them. Like they're all going to be sick.
Exactly.
Like what is happening here? The bulldozers coming in at the end of this movie makes 0 sense. It's so stupid.
Yeah, and it's funny that he shows up in an entire hazmat suit and then he takes it off.
Yeah, I'm baffled. I'm baffled.
Yeah, it's so weird. And to get this even worse, they basically have their little like ending that's cute. The reporter goes home to he says his wife, and they're like, ha ha ha. And he's like, why is that funny to you guys? And then he's like, marriage sounds like a good thing. Wink, wink at Josie. And he's like, well, give me an invite when it happens. And he gets on the bus, and he says, stay in touch. And they're like, yeah, of course we will.
Yeah, so
And then we jump forward. It's been a while because Josie's now in the house decorating the ugliest Christmas tree you've ever seen.
Oh my
in
god,
life.
at least 9 months because she's
And
super
she's
pregnant.
And she's talking on the phone to the reporter and saying, how's his wife? And how are you guys doing? Is it snowing there? And exactly at that same time, the roots shoot out of the Christmas tree's pot of some sort.
Yeah.
That's right on the table next to her head. And she just turns in slow motion and just makes like a whoop face. End.
Finn.
That's the movie.
Finn.
The movie
So
is...
the roots are alive no matter what is what they're saying. Like it's too late.
What,
like,
it's spread to
it's
pine
spread
to the Christmas trees?
I don't know. I still don't understand.
I gotta tell you, I really want
ending.
that sequel. The Christmas trees
Oh
are
my
alive killing people.
God.
That's gotta be great.
That would be amazing. But
Yeah.
honestly, so that it just ends like that. And she's just like turning around looking at the roots popping out of the tree. It's like,
What would you call that movie, by the way? I would call it You'll Die.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. It's a good one. This movie is just, I don't even know.
I'm making myself laugh. Sorry.
I'm giving this movie a 3.
I love the hell out of this piece of shit. I could not stop. This movie makes me laugh very hard. This is the kind of shit that I'm looking for. Ones that I can't, how bad it is, it elevates itself. And this one on my list instantly of so bad it's good.
I mean, yeah, I
It
laughed,
is a
but
trip to watch. This is, I think, I saw the negative reviews and I'm like, you guys have no sense of humor because this is bad, funny in a good way. And this, with a group of friends, it's got to be a
yeah,
great
but these people that are reviewing this movie, I can assure you, are probably not like us, where we love watching trash cinema.
I've seen some people say this is only for people who love bad cinema.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
And
we love watching trash.
I think this is like one of those diamonds in the rough. I think this one is so bad fun that I think that it should go down in that. And because of that, it's a 4.
Okay, a 4. All right. Well, I just have to read this one, if I may. Just this one review. It's this person's giving it a 1, and the title caption is "No Trolls Anywhere."
I said that to you before.
Yeah, it says. It says that this. So would you look at that? Nothing's happening. No trolls anywhere to be seen here. That's only one reason why this film sucks.
What's the other reason?
They don't say.
Oh, that's it? Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
I just found so much enjoyment in this piece of crap. I really did, and I'm so glad I got we watched it again for this.
Oh, actually, there's a whole big review written by that guy.
I figured when you click on it, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I know you liked it. I mean, I did laugh. I laughed because I just couldn't believe how freaking bad it is. The acting was so atrocious. It was like even if they had cue cards, they could not deliver the lines better.
There's even a part we forgot to mention that when the kid pulls out the map, he flubs his line, and he keeps talking.
Yeah. Like, oh, we'll just keep that in.
Yeah, there's a lot of that flubbing.
You want to do another take, Ed?
There is no take. And that's a running joke, is like we just kept noticing there is no second take.
No, I don't think that the director even did. Like, he didn't even notice half the time when
he
shit
didn't.
was fucked up.
Yeah, he just didn't notice and he didn't care.
No, he didn't care.
I think because these people were trying to rush out a film,
Mm-hmm.
this was supposed to be released in the theater and it didn't get released. It got sat on the shelf and they finally put it out on a video.
Yeah, like I think they said 1993. It was actually filmed in like
already.
89 or 90.
I think it was ready for release in 92 and it just never got put out until 93 on
I mean,
video.
in all fairness, though, to these actors, if I were them, I would be pissed because, I mean, you're putting your best foot forward here, and you're trying a little bit.
Yeah.
But except for that guy that works at the power plant, he wasn't trying at all. I mean, he was just. I mean, not Lloyd Kaufman. He was just terrible.
It's amazing.
I've never seen anyone deliver lines like that.
I could put the whole movie into this podcast. The entire clips, because there are so many. I will say there is a lot of driving again in this. There's a lot of
It's my pet peeve in these movies. I can't stand the driving scenes.
a lot of plant POVs and the attacks with the whipping.
Yeah.
That go on for a little too long, and there's a lot of like boring crap. It's not too boring though.
I mean,
it goes
we don't
quick.
give a shit about the guy and the girl's relationship and all that shit. I mean, he's a douche. Anyway, like, we don't
True,
care about that.
true.
It could have been shortened by like 15 minutes at least.
Yeah,
You know?
you're probably right. It definitely could have been a little shorter, a little tighter.
Yeah, they could have knocked out 15 minutes. We would have been fine.
But what a trip just to watch for bad acting. And I cannot believe when you watch those montages of bad acting in movies, you don't see anything from this movie. This is
know.
great.
It's because it's so off the grid. It's
Oh,
like nobody's ever seen this movie.
I'm gonna put this one on a clip show of bad acting. All right, so yeah, I mean that was the Crawlers or whatever.
Contamination?
Contamination-
No,
Contagion point seven?
Okay. Whatever.
Oh.
Whatever it's called, it's trash.
Oh, and we didn't even talk about the poster. The poster of this movie is when Paula dies by the Roots.
She's the hooker. Davy.
But the poster's version of Paula is the hottest. Like, it's just big cleavage It's not even close to
Okay,
being what
first
Paula
of all,
looks like.
That's not even Paula.
It's the Paula scene, though, Joe.
That might.
She's even wearing that same tank top.
I mean, that doesn't even look like Paula.
It's
Paula
not.
is like a at least 60-year-old woman.
It's just no. Poor Paula.
Well, she don't look like this hot girl.
No, that's why I'm laughing. I'm like, that cover is the worst false advertising.
They had to do something to get people to want to watch
But I
it.
just love that they. I think I put it up online once. Maybe I'll re-put it up for again. But I put a side-by-side reality, like when you're drunk and reality.
Oh man,
It's
this is
amazing.
Something I'll tell you.
All right, do you want to get out of here?
I want to get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a good one.
One more thing, Dr. Taylor. I would like to remind you that it is absolutely forbidden to even possess any alcoholic beverages on the premises of the plant.
I
believe this is yours, Dr. Taylor. At least it was found in your office.
Really,
This time I will look the other way. In the name of friendship. But I hope you realize this could cost you your position if somehow this slips out. You may go now. Thanks.
What the hell were you trumps anyway?